Hey there, Christophe from the French Herbal. As you probably know, in France we have a bit of an obsession for food, and we love to cook, we love to use good ingredients and to play with spices. So today I'd like to talk to you about one spice that you probably have in your kitchen and that can be pretty handy as a home remedy. It's clove. We'll talk about its properties, how to prepare it in a simple way, and what situations warrant its use. Before we start, you should know that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a pharmacist, nor a healthcare professional, and this episode is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before using herbal remedies, especially if you have a medical condition. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the plant itself. So clove comes from a tree of the Myrtaceae family called the clove tree, okay? And the tree originally comes from the Maluku Island in Indonesia, also called the Spice Islands because other spices like nutmeg originate from that place. Today, those trees are grown in many tropical regions, especially Indonesia, Madagascar, Tanzania, Sri Lanka, and India. And they thrive in a warm, humid climate with very rich soil, which makes those regions perfect for growing the trees. Now, I've grown many medicinal plants here in the south of France, but sorry, I know nothing about growing clove trees. So if you have attempted to do it, wherever you live, please leave me a comment. I'm interested. So what is harvested is the flower bud, which is then dried. Now that's the clove you know. The flower buds are first green when they're on the tree, then they turn pink, and just before the petals appear on the flower, they're picked for the spice markets. Now, if you leave the flowers on the tree, they will make the petals, then they will make the fruit and the seeds. And if you pick when the bud has become big and inflated, the fruit, well, that's called mother clove. And in traditional Chinese medicine, both are used, clove and mother clove, and they're like different remedies. I'm always amazed at the level of sophistication of traditional Chinese medicine. For us in the West, well, we just use the cloves, and I've never heard of the mother clove to my knowledge. And by the way, I just learned that the word clove comes from the French clou, which means nail, because in French we call this little guy clou de girofle. So the nail of the clove tree, which kind of makes sense because it kind of looks like a little nail. In terms of constituents, clove contains an exceptional amount of essential oil, around 18 to 20% of its weight. And the phenols dominate in the essential oil, and specifically eugenol represents about 70 to 80% of the oil. And most of the precautions of clove come from those phenols. We'll come back to precautions at the end of this episode. And phenols are quite strong and caustic. We have some tannins, so it is a bit astringent. We have some flavonoids like quercetin, isoquercetin, luteolin, and others, making it anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. We have triterpenes like oleanic and ursolic acid, etc., etc. It's one of the most antioxidant plant we know, by the way. And let's not equate the whole clove to just its essential oil. Yes, the aromatic fraction explains most of the properties, but not all of them. As usual, it's a synergy, and each constituent reinforces the other. In terms of energetics, it is heating and drying. And you feel the heat when you add cloves to a herbal tea, for instance, right? And it is drying because it helps us to dissipate fluids. And it is also a bit astringent, so it is drying on contact. Okay, let's talk about the properties. And we'll start with winter infections. Cloves can do several things for us. First of all, it brings warmth and circulation. You know, maybe we just caught a cold, we're shivering a bit, we feel something is coming up and we need some warmth. We need a winter tea. You know, ginger, thyme, clove, I mean, those plants will gently stimulate immunity. And for clove specifically, the immune stimulation probably takes place through its high eugenol content. In traditional Chinese medicine, clove is seen as a plant that warms the interior and expels cold. You know, just what we need. Second point, it is an amazing antibacterial and antiviral. We have multiple studies demonstrating this. So it helps the body fight winter pathogens in a direct manner. And by the way, if you go to my website, you will find all the transcription of what I'm telling you, plus all the scientific references if you're interested. So how would you use clove here? Super simple. I use a base of either thyme or oregano, or sage, or winter savory, or rosemary. So all those plants, I make a tea, one or several of them. They all have heating energetics. Then I add a bit of grated ginger, like half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon, depending on your tolerance. And then I add 3 to 6 cloves, no more, you know, and check if it's not too heating for you because it has to be drinkable. Now, can you turn this into a chai? Yeah, sure. Let's have a bit of fun, you know. You can add a bit of cinnamon, even a tiny pinch of cayenne, maybe some regular milk or almond milk, maybe a bit of honey if you want, 2 to 3 cups a day, and that should help you really feel better throughout the cold. The second use of clove is for digestion, and it will make a nice digestive tea if you feel a bit bloated with cramps, with a sluggish digestion. It will bring warmth to the digestive tract. If you have cramps, it will help. It's got a carminative action, meaning that it helps lower the production of fermentations and gas. It helps the stomach make more protective mucus, and that's very interesting if you have a sensitive stomach. And this property has been demonstrated in animal studies. So how do I use it here for digestion? Well, believe it or not, same type of tea. For instance, you know, I could use a blend of rosemary or sage or thyme, a bit of ginger, and my cloves. Because all of those plants will help a sluggish digestion, will improve stomach emptying, and will relieve gas and cramping. And here in my cup, I prepared a bit of a rosemary. I have oregano, and then I'm gonna add my 5-6 cloves. I'll pour the hot water a little later. One question that comes up with those strongly antibacterial plants is there a risk of damaging the gut flora? And that's a very good question. And we think that it's actually rather beneficial for the gut flora at the doses we're talking about here. And we have several studies for clove done on animals showing that it reduces the harmful pathogens like Clostridium and Salmonella while protecting the beneficial bacteria like Lactobacillus. Very interesting, right? So yeah, you know, clove will do a bit of cleanup in the gut flora for the bad guys. And if you have traveler's diarrhea, or you caught a problematic bug or parasite, or if you have an intestinal fungal infection, you know, candida type, it could help. Traditionally, clove is well known for toothaches. You probably heard about this. If you ever had one, you know how painful that is, right? And the most active constituent here is eugenol again, and it's been used in dentistry for decades. What you do is you place a clove on the tooth, you bite on it, and it will release its essential oils on the tooth, and this oil will slightly numb the pain. If you want to use the essential oil directly, be careful because it's a very strong oil. But here is what you can do while waiting for your dentist appointment, right? You dip a Q-tip in a carrier oil, like olive oil maybe. Then you put 1 drop of the essential oil and you apply it directly on the tooth that is aching. If you want to apply it on the gums all around the tooth, dilute it in a carrier oil first. Never pure, with a dilution at 10 to 20% max. Otherwise, it will burn your gums. 10% means you put 1 drop of the essential oil in 9 drops of olive oil, for instance. You mix well, you apply with your finger on the gums just around the aching tooth, right? Not all over the mouth. Then carefully go wash your hands. So it is analgesic, and since it also has antimicrobial components, well, if you have an infection, going with a toothache, it will help with the infection too. And the goal here is to get you a bit of relief before you go to the dentist. This analgesic property has been confirmed in animal studies. In mice, for instance, clove reduces both the acute and chronic phases of pain with an action that is both central to the nervous system and local as well, where it hurts. So it acts directly on the pain signal, so you will feel less pain overall. I found one interesting study done on elderly patients suffering from gout arthritis, and the study showed that applying a warm compress of clove tea significantly reduces joint pain after 5 days of application. And here is how they prepared the tea. They used 5 grams of cloves boiled in 300 milliliters, so about 1/3 of a liter, a little less, of water. Let it stand for about 1 to 3 minutes until it's warm, and then you apply it. And here is what 5 grams represent. That's not a lot, right? So clove tea applied locally could be good for any type of joint or maybe muscle or tendon pain or maybe neuralgia. Now, a note on energetics. I would keep clove for chronic pain in situation we would call cold, with lack of circulation, lack of function, and we want to bring back the blood to the area. And the person feels the need to apply heat on the pain and not a cold pack. If the area is red and pulsing and hot, right, in an acute phase, I would not recommend clove, which would be too heating then. In a few minutes, I'll give you a very simple recipe to make a clove infused oil that is very good for joint pain, for neuropathic pain, for muscle pain. Again, especially if you feel like applying heat. The next property of clove is related to metabolic functions. In studies, cloves improve glucose metabolism and regulation and insulin sensitivity at the cell levels. It lowers triglycerides, total and LDL cholesterol. It is strongly antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, which makes it a very promising natural aid in managing metabolic syndrome, going to type 2 diabetes, a medical condition, so check with your doctor. And according to a study, 1 gram of clove per day already shows some result. An important note here when we talk about chronic condition, things like metabolic issues, it's much better to combine different plants and to do rotations to change your herbal mix on a regular basis rather than just take one herb all the time, especially when we talk about strong herbs rich in phenols like clove. Good combination here for metabolic issues would be clove and basil, clove and fenugreek, clove and cinnamon if you're really into spices. Now, in terms of forms and quantities, overall, how can we use clove? Well, number one, a simple tea will do the job. 3 to 6 cloves in a cup of hot water. You let it infuse, covered for 10 minutes, then you use it as a mouthwash, maybe for things like canker sores, or drink it if you want the digestive effects, or use it for cold. Much better is to add the cloves to a herbal tea, thyme, ginger, elderflower, maybe during a cold, or other plants you would like to use for a particular condition. And here, since I have my rosemary, oregano, and clove waiting for me in the cup, I'm just gonna pour the hot water. There we go. Immediately cover to keep all the aromatics inside the cup. You can use the tincture. It is quite strong. I would say 20 drops 2 to 3 times a day. Again, you can add the 20 drops in a herbal tea. You know, for instance, you caught a cold, you make a tea of ginger and oregano, and then you add your 20 drops of clove tincture in the tea for a very strong aromatic kick. You could make capsules of powdered cloves. So here I have the powdered cloves, and smells great. So the plant is quite aromatic, and when you powder it, you will lose some of the aromatics. You know, it's inevitable. That being said, it will retain a lot of its power. Eric Laurent, one of our herbal docs here in France, recommends 3 to 4 capsules a day, each capsule containing 300 to 500 milligrams. And again, this could be taken alone or added to a wider protocol. You can make a very strong infused oil. I have done that at home several times. You put cloves in a jar, you add your favorite oil, and I personally use olive oil because I have a lot of local producers here in Provence. You let it macerate for 2 to 3 months. And what I do is I just cover the clove with oil and just add a little more to make sure it's well covered, which will make a super strong oil. And I will dilute it afterwards to obtain the heating power I want. You'll find other recipes because some people dilute it during the maceration in the jar, right? So say they use 10 times more oil than clove. So they would put a little bit of clove here, add 10 times the oil, and you know, check the heating properties this way, you know, right during maceration. But I don't do that. If you do like I do, don't forget to dilute it afterwards because it can be really strong. And then once diluted, you can use it to rub painful joints, painful muscles. If you feel like applying heat, you can add some beeswax and make a salve out of it. You can rub the oil on gums around a painful tooth. Again, careful, it can burn, it's very strong, right? Regarding the essential oil, be careful with it. We usually use it diluted, always. Say, 5-10% in a carrier oil, a little more, but only if you know what you're doing. Then try it, see if it's not too hot for you. It can be rubbed on, painful muscle. It can be rubbed on the gum, again, around a painful tooth. And as I explained, a much stronger way would be to dip a Q-tip in olive oil and then add 1 drop on top of the Q-tip, and then, tap it on the painful tooth, not on the gums, on the tooth, right? Okay, now the precautions. As I explained, eugenol is the main constituent in clove. It is not carcinogenic, but it can be caustic when applied directly to skin or mucous membranes. Clove preparations can trigger allergic reactions, irritation, or burning of the mucosa, especially with the essential oil. So avoid the use of undiluted essential oil. The European Medicine Agency, the EMA, advises against the use of clove preparation like essential oil in pregnant or breastfeeding women and children. Try to avoid large quantities of clove in the long run without breaks. So you could introduce breaks, for instance, taking it for 5 days during the week, then pausing 2 days during the weekend, 3 weeks a month, and then 1 week of pause. That's always a good idea. In terms of drug interactions, medical supervision is advised if using clove with anticoagulants like warfarin due to potential interactions. And that's it for cloves, an amazing spice we all have in our kitchen, quite surprising in its strength. Do not underestimate this little guy. Thanks for being here, and I will see you soon for another episode of The French Herbal.